Bernadette. I'm here with your Pick a Card Daily Tarot reading for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. And that was my best seal impression. Let me see if I can do it again. Yeah, it's not. Oh, and by the way, let me just tell you guys. Hey, I got a whole bunch of email wanting to know where I got that turkey sound from for the Thanksgiving daily reading. Y'all, that was me. It really was me. That wasn't a turkey dubbed over. It was me, and I really do a better seal impression, but it's early. I got a long day ahead. I know you do too. We're all busy because it is the holidays, and so let's go. So swimming in for y'all today is the seal, the 10 of Cups, and why I'm really, I just want to get to this because Wednesday is the bridge day, right? The solar plexus chakra is the ruling chakra. Mercury is the ruling planet. And, you know, Mercury was the messenger of the heavens. He brought messages from the heavens to the people here on earth. And that is, my gosh, the bridges, the bridges, the bridges. It's nuts that this card came today. So I'm going to illustrate that to you. And let's start with the traditional meanings of the Rider-Waite Tarot 10 of Cups. And for those of you just joining us, I'm Bernadette. I am the creator and channel and publisher of the award-winning and now best-selling Archanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, and I have all of you all to thank for that. Thank you so much. The Animal Allies and I just, oh, we're so grateful. So, it is based on the Rider-Waite Tarot, and so when we take a look at the traditional 10 of Cups, again, you're going to see the bridge. There are the 10 cups, you know, over the rainbow. It's a bridge. We know when our animals, you know, cross over the rainbow bridge, we're bridging the first part of the week to the last part of the week and into the weekend. We're also bridging the emotions of this when you take a look at all of the messages that a seal will give, because they're water animals and they're land animals. So they spend so much time in the water, but they give birth on land, right? And so it's about navigating those emotions, but it's also about creativity, which is your solar plexus chakra. And if you take a look at the, you know, the traditional meanings of this particular Rider-Waite Tarot card, it is about artistry. It is about surprising insights. And a ton of y'all have asked me to go into the reverse meanings of these cards, and I will after the first of the year. I don't y'all for 2020. I don't think we need any more reversals unless they're the good kind. So we're gonna start the reversals at the beginning of the year. But when this card is reversed, it is about overcoming a creative energy block. Well, crazily enough, earlier, Peacock was the reading for the day. And it was all about sacred scribing, sacred scribing, sacred scribing. And so when I take a look at this card, and it's bridging the gap, and I take a look at the, okay, artistry and surprising insights for today, but Peacock about the sacred scribing earlier in the week, there's something going on out there with the vast majority. Well, you know what? I'm going to paint with a wider brush. You know why? Because I got peacock feathers to do it. Yes, I do. So I'm going to say that most of y'all, or maybe almost all of y'all, have some kind of creative endeavor you want to do it's going to have to do with communication and words. Now that might sound like a dub or that, because, you know, listen, how else do we communicate with words? But there are a lot of different ways to communicate those words. It can be in an abstract painting. It can be in a poem. It can be just a look that you give somebody. It can be just a feeling that you send out. So be really vigilant about your words, however you're expressing yourself. And what I mean by that is do your very best to tap into your sacral chakra this week, particularly today, and bring out that creativity that you may not have confidence in or may not trust that you have. It's there. And 10 of Cups and Seal are supporting you in this, okay? So if we go a little deeper into the card, you know, listen, rainbows they're just ancient symbols of peace and prosperity and divine favor and happiness. You know, the Irish myth, you know, Finian's rainbow, who wasn't in that musical in high school. And you know, the leprechaun hiding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow in Norse mythology. It's the bridge between the mortal worlds and the other gods. In Christian mythology, it symbolizes the covenant between humanity and the creator. But if you notice, the 10 of Cups takes place, the whole scene is on a theater stage. And that means it's a psychological process. So if you've got something, and I find this in artists all the time. I mean, y'all, you don't even know how many years it took me. Me, I was in the entertainment business for 20 something years, and it took me like 4 years, almost five, of people just hounding me to start this YouTube channel. Not, I don't know why. It was dumb, but here I am, and there you are, and I thank you for it. So the point is that it was a psychological thing. My spirit wanted to do it, but there was all this junk rolling around in my head. But the stage backdrop is an image of happiness and success. And there's this beautiful river running through a lush green and fertile landscape, and it rolls gently past the hills, and it disappears right before the country mansion, which tells you that you're on your way to wealth and stability, but that's nestled in between trees. And trees are the great protectors, right? They are the great protectors. They will watch over you. Now, am I telling you you're going to be a millionaire? No, but I'm not telling you you're not going to be a millionaire. I don't know that. Do you know that? Because only you knowing that means anything. If you know you're going to be a millionaire because that's a goal, yippee skippy, whatever you were planning, whatever kind of thing you were going to create to make sure that wealth came a rolling in, rock on with your bad self and get going because it's on its way. If you are one of those people that go, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? No, you're not going to be a millionaire. Not today, not tomorrow, not any time while you have that going for you. So at some point, rainbows are also about faith. They're about another day is coming. Beautiful times are coming. Listen, rainbow is so associated with LGBTQ community and, every life matters and just, everything like that. It's certainly in this day and age become a symbol of all inclusiveness. And where I'm going with that is this. There in my business, for instance, there are a lot of things that have to happen to get one article out, one video out, figure out the video, go into a deep meditation, pull the card, know that I know and then there's bookkeeping to do, and then I got to clean my house and feed my cats so there's so many pieces, and then there are all the voices in my head, and it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot for such a tiny little wee pea brain. It's a lot of voices in there. So when you want to start something, it can seem overwhelming, and the clue to that is one step at a time, one step at a time. I did a reading for a gal the other day, and I kept saying, I just feel like there's this dream that you have, and so why don't you just tell me? Her dream is to start a website that helps people spiritually and take it from her perspective, which is all about humor, finding the humor in the darkness. Well, that's right up my alley, right? I love that. And so we talked about it, but in her mind, she can't start this project until everything is perfect. The room that she envisions working from and writing it, and the view out the window, and the colors, and the this, and she's got to get this done in her life and packed away before she can do this and do this and do this. And I said, the spirit animals, the animal guides are telling me something different. You got to start right where you are. Even if you spend 5 minutes a day, and I told her, it's like having a vision board in your spirit. It's like having a vision board that runs throughout your body, and whatever chakra you need help from at that moment, you place that vision there, and then you move ahead and you do a little bit at a time. Because what happens is, let's say it takes her a year to get that perfect scenario and perfect setting, which she is never, ever going to get, because nothing for people like that or any of us is ever perfect. We've got to find the happiness. You have got to find the joy and the gratitude for where you are today. And if you don't like where you are today, you want more, okay, that's what a buffet is for. Carry yourself on up there and you get some more. It's just that simple. But to be holding out and be missing out on a dream, or just even the little morsels of that dream. I mean, would you rather have no chocolate or whatever your favorite dessert or candy or food or whatever, or song or whatever? Would you rather have just a little bit of it or none of it? I don't know. Some people would rather have none because they know themselves. They're gonna regret and lament and begrudge that they don't have the whole thing. If that's you, I can't help you, right? But if you're the kind of person that will entertain that, if I just do something 5 minutes a day, And so that dovetail, what happens is that becomes your little morsel and you hold on to that. It's such a powerfully sacred feeling. I did that. And many other people I know have done that. And they'll get to the end of that year and they'll look back on that year and they'll go, look what I've accomplished. And now I've got the confidence and I've got the vision and I've got this. I'm moving ahead. But the people that get to the end of that year and they haven't made any move forward, let me tell you something. I did a reading for another gal, I don't know, a few months back. And she just she somehow in the reading it came out that she had been really beating herself up because she's actually a published author and her first novel did very well. I don't know what it is, but she told me it did and I believe her. And I don't want to know that much about my clients. Not because I don't love y'all and want to know you and hear your stories, but that way, when I read for you, it's a pure reading, right? I don't know anything about you other than what comes through at the time. Okay. So that's why it's called evidential. So it came out in her reading that she'd just been, God almighty, the negative self-talk was something, something, something. And so she said, I know what you're going to tell me. I should be more disciplined and I should do that and I should do this. And I said, no, only one of us is the psychic here today. On another day, I'll pay you for a reading, but today you're paying me. So why don't you let me tell you what I think? And she laughed. And I said, because it's not what I think, it's what I'm being told. I said, which is actually, I'm very grateful. It's a big lesson for me because I do a lot of beating myself up when I get things wrong or I do, y'all. So, I said, what I'm hearing, and when I look up like that, I'm trying to remember and I'm trying to hear the same conversation again. What I'm hearing is that if you would see it from a different perspective, you'd have that novel written in no time. She says, well, what do you mean? And I told her that story, the 5 minutes a day. I said, but you're looking at it all wrong. I said, instead of saying, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes a day because I know I should. You're setting yourself up that it's a punishment. And then when it's a punishment because you don't get it done or you can't get it done, then you flagellate yourself internally for it. It's like an emotional flagellation. And I said, that's not working for you. It wouldn't work for anyone. And I said, but what would work for you is what if you come to see that 2 minutes? Even if you just say, I'm going to detox from my day, I'm going to have a glass of wine, I'm going to think about it. Just think about your characters and your story arcs and your archetypes and the flow and just think about it. And then one day you'll either get on your computer, you'll take out your journal and you'll start, sacred scribing about this character, this scene, or this, or whatever, or this, this character's backstory or the city setting. And the next thing you know, you're up to 15 minutes and a half an hour because it's your reward to yourself because she's got a no joke job, y'all. It's in the medical field and it is super high pressure, super intense. Of course, who the heck wants to write when they get a glass of wine or 2 or 3? Yeah, I'm in for that. But sitting down and trying to let the creative juices flow, I'd be hard pressed to do that unless I saw it as a treat. I'm like all animals. I'm very treat driven. I'm very reward driven. And you may not be that way, but what if you are seeing things incorrectly? Maybe there's something you have to do at work you don't like. Maybe there's something you have to do in your family you don't like. But if there's a way that you could come to see it as time spent as a treat or a retreat, then you might have a really different perspective on the creative process. And you'll be so focused on the love and the good feelings that you get from doing it. There's your rainbow and there's your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Now that seems like kind of a long way to go to get back to this card and the spirit animal, but it's not. It's everything to do with it because this week has already been so heavily about artistry and the creative process, and in particular, sacred scribing, whatever that means to you. Okay, so going back to, this card is very similar to what they call the roadmap to success, which is another reason that I kind of went around the block to get back to that beautiful home nestled in the middle of the trees that you're headed away to. But we can't forget the kids that are dancing on the right of the 10 of Cups, and that suggests that this happiness will be passed on to the next generation. So if you have children, unlike me, I was never fortunate enough to have kids. So, when it's time for me to push up daisies or before, what whatever I have floating around, my 9 million tarot decks and some plants. I got to decide who those things go to and who it's going to bring happiness to and who it's going to benefit. Okay. So the other thing is, if you take a look at the man and the woman, and let's go back to the dancing, because I always listen. I'm a big proponent of get moving. Movement is life. Dancing, the music, man, nothing will clean your chakras out. Nothing will clean your heart out. Nothing will clean your mental state out like dancing to some great music. Even if you don't consider yourself a great dancer, it's great that you're dancing. And that speaks of pure joy and innocence. And then you take a look at the man and the woman on the right, and that they represent happiness at a material level. He's got his left arm raised in joy. She's got her right arm. They've almost physically merged into one entity, kind of like those married couples that finish each other's sentences. One day I'll have that one day. But anyway, that is why the Kabbalists call the Ten of Cups the Lord of perfected success. Okay, perfected success, y'all. What else is there to say about this card except for it's the Ten of Cups? And it's like, if you've ever seen a steam engine and you see all the boilers in a steam engine, whoop, 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 steam, 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 and that engine just fires up. It's kind of like that. But also, a rainbow is not just a divine blessing, it's a divine promise. So even if you can't believe in yourself at this moment, why are you watching a woo-woo lady? Why are you watching a woo-woo channel? Are you a believer or do you want to be a believer? At some point, you're going to have to be a believer or not, and that's up to you. But that's going to bring me to Seal. So when we take a look at Seal as a spirit totem and power animal, we've already talked about how they, they're in the water, they're on land, and anytime that you are dealing with art or creativity of any kind, there's a tremendous amount of emotion wrapped up in it. How else would you be able to have your divine expression of what you want to do? I would tell you, if I had a nickel for every person that said to me that's laid their hands on the ark, which is now thousands and thousands and thousands, or seen it or whatever, they all have said, this was some kind of labor of love, because they recognize what went into it to create it. It was no joke, y'all. Like almost 3 years of my life, every second of every minute of every day. But the love was just so much. The emotion was so much. So allow Seal to take you into the water, to get your emotions going for these creative things. They're the cutest things ever. They don't move very well on land. I mean, they're kind of clumpy and galumpy. They don't think they are, but to us they are. But man, they'll go through the water like a torpedo. So maybe you're too earthbound right now. Maybe you're too landlocked right now. Get out of the earth element and take a plunge into the water element. It'll be just fine. It'll be fine. You just got to go. Now, remember, when you are creating the thing that you love, there's a whole self-actualization thing that goes along with it, which is why earlier on I was like, if you could just come to see those 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, if you could just come to see that as a treat, as a gift, as time that you take for yourself, what will happen is you'll metamorphosize through that process and you'll self-actualize in ways that you never thought. You'll get in the smack middle of your project and you'll be like, man, all of a sudden I have more time loosened up during the day. Of course you do. You've become a better time manager because you see you're getting rewarded. Now, earlier in the week also, I did this whole thing about, I don't remember what card it was. I was like, we've been indoctrinated that we only do things because we get rewarded, or we don't do things because we know we're going to get punished. That does not apply here. The whole card and the whole Seal as a spirit totem and power animal are about the authentic feelings, the authentic emotion that's going to come as you give birth to your baby and you raise your baby. It's just that simple, right? Okay. So, listen, seals are very, very, very playful. They just have never-ending energy, and they always look so happy when they're playing. And they've gotten really good at going with the currents. Now, some of those currents can be totally fierce. I get that. Does it serve your best purpose to fight against it? And here's why I say that. I've always been a doer, but that's because I'm a spoiled brat. If I wanted something, I would, okay. I never expected anybody else to get it for me, but I expected everybody else to get out of my way while I went and got it for myself. And there were times in my life that did not serve my purpose because I was like a bull in a china shop. That's it. I'm having what I want. And I usually got it. It was just the getting there. That may not have been the best thing. But there are a lot of us, a lot of y'all that want it, want it, want it, want it. And they just, y'all won't go for it for whatever reason because it can be hard to swim against the current. So I never did. I never did. I just I did the opposite. I jumped into currents that were going faster and harder and faster and harder. And that's the opposite end of the spectrum, which isn't balanced. But the other end of the spectrum, right? The two ends of the rainbow, you're still at a rainbow, you're still at the ends. But which end do you really want to be on? You want to be at the beginning or do you want to be at the end where you snatch up your pot of gold, whatever that is? I'm a big fan of pots of gold. So I would say that whatever current, and that current can be inside of you, is probably inside of your head, in your conscious mind, in your subconscious mind. Your higher self, your subconscious mind, it knows what you're capable of. So I would say that if you are wrestling with something, any kind of emotion for any reason, this transcends the whole creativity, right? That you just go ahead and roll with that current and it will play out eventually. But then and this is like this is self-care 101, right? Like sleep when you're tired, eat when you're hungry. Yesterday I had to, as spiritual as I want to be and as much as I think, I just live and let live and all this, there's been a person just pecking at me, pecking at me, pecking at me, pecking at me for months now, just pecking at me. And I mentioned it the other day. It's a person I do business with, and I mean the pecking, and I'd had enough of it yesterday. So instead of picking up the phone or sending a hey, let's stop this, and leaving scorched earth, I just went and got a protein shake and sat down for a few minutes on the porch, and got turned my head around and came back in. There are days when it won't call for that. There are days that you might need to leave scorched earth. Okay, only you'll know when that day is, but be very clear about the strength of your emotions because, in particular, when you're working with seal energy, they, they are so cute and they are so playful and they weigh a billion pounds. And if they come for you, they're going to come for you. They're extremely strong animals, extremely strong. If for no other reason than they're so dang big, but they're very strong. But you see, their navigational skills are no joke. So if you're just feeling like, oh, which way should I go? I know I'm all up in my emotions. I can't really feel where call in Seal to be your navigator and call in the 10 of Cups to help you come to the conclusion or the solution or your plan of action that's going to lead you to your pot of gold. Now, at the end of the day, it will do no good for me to leave scorched earth with this person. This person is who they are. They're going to peck and 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 tell mistruths and spread gossip and be duplicitous and have triangulated conversations because that's who they are, and I'm not going to change them. I don't even have time to want to try. I got no time for that. I'm too busy trying to change myself, right? So I'm not going to do anything about it unless it becomes detrimental. So far, it's just been pesky, not detrimental. Should it become detrimental, that's another story. And again, only you can decide which way you want to go with this. But that's kind of a, again, hearkening back to last week. And, there are three sides to every coin, three sides to every story. I was like, oh, it's a double-sided coin, or it's this, or it's that. Well, a cup is kind of the same way. There's the top, there's the bottom, and then there's all the stuff in the middle, the sacred liquid that it carries. And so you might want to take a look at what are the sides to all of this. And again, if you're really emotional up in this, or even too much in your head about this, because cups also represent the water element, then you might want to call on, again, the seal and the cups to help you through. Okay, so when we also take a look at seals, by and large, they'll stray into the ocean, they'll stray into the seas, but they never lose sight of how to get back to their sanctuary. They never lose sight of how to get back to their home. And I have always interpreted that, well, because the spirit animal, the animal spirit guides tell me it, that's your home internally and your home externally. And I just, I, I hope y'all never get tired of me saying it, because honestly, I'm not going to apologize. I'm never going to get tired of saying it. You are such a powerful being. See, I'm gonna cry, because if everyone could know this, if everybody could understand how talented they are and how powerful they are and how truly in control of their own destiny, their own successes, their own failures that they are, but could be even more successful if they would just believe and act on the data that will come to them. Listen, you guys, I have a very unique perspective of this. I have worked with, God, tens of thousands of acting students and professional actors. Well, not tens of thousands of professional actors, because that implies you got paid. So maybe in the couple thousand professional actors, but in the thousands and thousands of students. And there is no more neurotic, self-deprecating, don't believe in their own talent person than an actor. The flip side of that are the egomaniacs. We didn't get along, as you might imagine. And the minute the light went off in their eyes that they really could do this and they really had something of value to offer, I mean, like the seal in water, like a torpedo. Their callback ratio, their booking ratio, everything, their relation. I'm having a hot flash, y'all, sorry. And it's like 68 degrees in my house because it's cold here in Florida. Yay, for like a day, it'll be cold. So it was such a joy to watch. It was one of the great privileges of my lifetime, truly. So I want that for you. Whatever you take away from this, seal may be coming to you as a spirit animal for all these reasons. If seal is your totem, and you are that person that just is comfortable swimming around in all that creative energy, good for you. I want to see what things you are gifting the world with, because I know they're beautiful and they're meaningful, right? And they're powerful, just like you. And if you want to invoke seal as your power animal, okay, yay. It can be a really good, if you're stressing out, seal can be good for that. If you need to let people know, because people mistakenly think, because I joke all the time and I always got a big stupid smile on my face, they mistake me for not being a person that can, as my mom used to say, flat get with it. That's what we say in the South when we're like, we're fitting to take care of business. That's what we say here. But I can flat get with it. And, if you need help flat getting with it, if you need help backing off, if you need help, getting your emotions under control, or just, flowing, going with the flow and not, blowing a gasket or knocking your cups over and spilling out your wine or whatever, seal is the one to call. So I hope this was helpful. I do. I hope that every day. And yes, you should pick up your copy of the award-winning and now best-selling Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, so you can have all these magical and mystical experiences with the animal allies. 149 animals, y'all. 149 animals are available. And also hit that bell, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you learn everything that you can about shamanism and spirit totem and power animals and self-actualization and all the junk I talk about. So what's the most important thing every day, though? Say it with me: to stay wild.